Hello everyone, and welcome to our Lunch and Learn session today on the current state of SEO for health charities. For those of you that are new to our webinars, I'm Lisa and I head up marketing at Torchbox, and we're an employee-owned digital agency working with lots of wonderful charities, many of which are here today, including Mind, Action for Children, Disasters Emergency Committee, Oxfam and RNIB, and lots of health organisations as well. And our work spans fundraising and advocacy and engagement and impact measurement and scalable tech solutions as well. But we are here today because we are seeing significant changes in search behaviour and the rise of AI overviews and people increasingly turning to forums and social platforms for information means that for health charities, this presents challenges but also opportunities. So today I am joined by two of our SEO consultants, Liv and Jess, who have insights to share from our work with organisations like MS Society, Diabetes UK, the NHS and Breast Cancer Now. And we've also got a couple more of the team who you'll be able to see. We've got Alice and Emma here, also from the SEO team, on hand to help answer any questions that you have. We've got a couple of spots for questions. So there's one in the middle and then we've got plenty of time at the end. We're not aiming to have all of the answers or claiming to have all of the answers today, especially because this space is moving so quickly. We'd like today to be a bit more of like an open learning session. So please do feel free to share your experiences in the chat as well, because we'd love to hear that along with your questions. If you have questions, if you can pop them in the Q&A, it does help us to keep track of those a little bit better, because we'll ask some live and then Emma and Alice will be answering some with the chat. I will also share an email afterwards with the recording and our slides and any references that we make, resource references as well. And I will now hand over to Jess to get things going.
Thank you, Lisa. So it was back in, oh, have I frozen? No.
Nope, you're still going.
It was back in 2023 that Google announced its direction of travel towards generating responses to search queries using AI. And since AI overviews were launched in August last year, we've seen the real world impact that this is having on our health charities. So the use of AI to generate responses to searchers' queries isn't going away, so we need to adapt to the change. And some of the things we're going to talk about today include the impact that we're seeing on our health charities, the types of content that Google is showing AI overviews for, why social media should be considered as part of your wider search strategy, and the impact of LLMs as well. So here's a timeline of how Google rolled out its AI search features. It's been developing these features over the past 2 years, and they've been rolling out over all around the world over the past year. So AI overviews launched in the US in May last year, and then that was expanded to the UK in August 2024. In May, Google began rolling out AI Mode, which is an enhanced version of AI overviews in the US. And yesterday, Google began rolling out AI Mode in the UK. So things are changing really fast, and we're having to adapt to these changes really quickly. So how is the introduction of AI-powered search in Google impacting our health charities? So it's important to note that this is a sector-wide issue, so it's impacting almost all charities within the health information sector. So we're all facing this together, and this is a graph showing site-wide click-through rate trends across our health charity clients from April last year to June this year. And the graph is annotated to show when AI overviews began rolling out in the UK, which was, as I said, August 2024. So health charity content is particularly susceptible to AI overview competition, since people searching for health queries often seek quick answers that AI summaries can provide directly in search results. And you can see that the overall pattern suggests that the rollout of AI overviews has contributed to reduced click-through rate across our health charity clients. And this is a graph which shows click-through rates across our Google Ad Grants clients from June 2024 to April of this year. This includes all of our grants clients, so including those in the health information space. So it's not a sector-specific issue. Almost all of our charities have been impacted by the launch of AI overviews. And this graph clearly indicates that we're seeing that AI overviews are impacting our clients' click-through rates in Google Ad Grants. And this is a graph which shows average impressions and clicks across our health charity clients from organic search from April of last year to June this year. With the blue line, that's average clicks for our health charity clients, and clicks are measured as the number of people that visit the website from Google search. And the red line is the average impressions for our health charity clients. So an impression means that someone has seen or potentially seen a link to your site in Google search. And the graph indicates that since the beginning of the year, we saw that average clicks have been decreasing per month while impressions have been increasing. So this suggests that more people are seeing the content from our health charities, but less people are actually clicking through from Google search results to pages on the sites. So AI overviews do appear to be impacting our charities' visibility in that we're more visible, but less people are visiting the sites. So just to note, an impression is recorded if you're featured at the top of the AI overview and someone doesn't click to expand it. And an impression will also be recorded if an AI overview is expanded and a website is shown as a source. So this is why we're seeing impressions increase, as the number of sources that are used in the overviews is much higher than the number of sites featured in traditional results. Sorry, it's
Oh.
yeah. Sorry, it froze for me. The slides didn't change. So we're now going to discuss how the search landscape is changing. So we've carried out some research on the NHS site to identify patterns in content which is showing AI overviews, and we're going to run through some of the interesting findings that we've gathered. So we found that AI overviews show for 70% of terms which relate to conditions. So this includes things like symptoms and causes of a particular condition and treatments for those conditions as well. We found that 85% of the time AI overviews don't appear in the UK search results for terms which relate to specific medicines, which is interesting, as we found that that is not the case in the US. So often we'll see the same terms are showing in the US. They show an AI overview, and in the UK they do not. So the screenshot on the left is showing the result for fexofenadine in the UK, and you'll see that no AI overview appears. But the right screenshot is the top result for fexofenadine in the US, and an AI overview does appear. So this is quite a big difference that we found between UK and US results, and it could be due to a number of reasons. So one of the things that we know is that AI-powered search has been rolling out in the US a lot longer than it has in the UK. So AI overviews for medicines could begin to appear in the UK at some stage. But it could also be because the pharmaceutical industry in the US is much more profit focused than it is in the UK. And we know that ads will appear in AI overviews at some point. We don't know when that's going to happen, but we do know it's coming. So it could be that Google is showing AI overviews for terms related to medicines in the US because they will soon show ads in these results as well. And we also found that AI overviews don't show for the majority of terms related to assessment tools. For example, the BMI calculator and the pregnancy due date calculator. So this suggests that there are areas which Google can't provide these overviews for, and that people do need to visit specific sites in order to complete the action that they're looking for.
Thanks, Jess.
Lisa, I'm getting a couple of notifications that my network is unstable. So if I start freezing, just give me a sign and I can go back and say.
Yeah, will do. I think if you do, then just turn off your camera as well and we'll test that. See how you get on.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you. Alongside all of these changes that Jess has mentioned of what we're seeing AI overviews appearing for, where we're not seeing them appearing as well, we're also seeing a bit of a forum renaissance taking place where forum results in Google have been more prominent than ever. And this direction of travel has actually been taking place over the last few years. So starting back in 2022, Google launched its discussions and forums rich result, which you do see in Google search now, which pulls in forum results from the likes of Reddit, Quora, but we're also seeing a lot of our health charity clients appearing in this space too. I'd really like to know in the chat as well if your website also manages a forum and if you are seeing your forum appearing in these rich results. Then come 2023, Google launched its perspectives filter. And what this was is that it pulled in lots of different content, whether that be long form or short form video from social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram. But it then also did pull in forum results too and user generated content, which they then eventually split out into the discussions and forums and short videos. Come November 2023, Google's core update at this time, we saw that there was a really significant increase in the visibility of user-generated content. So what that means is that there was a real increase in the rankings for the likes of Reddit and forum websites. So it was no surprise come 2024 when Google and Reddit announced its expanded partnership. So what this meant was that Google obtained access to Reddit's API, and then it also, as a result, we could see that Reddit posts and Reddit forums were generally getting a lot more visibility in search results. So with this forum renaissance taking place, here are a couple of takeaways and tips for you to consider for your website and for your forum. And first off, I would definitely recommend considering where your forum appears alongside your website content and how this feeds into your community's journey. So I've got a breast cancer now example here. I saw that we have a few of the team in the chat. So hi, Ruby. That was the main person I saw, but nice to see you. This is an example of a specific search relating to the side effects of a treatment. And we can see here at the top that we've got a result from the main website and that we also have the discussions and forums rich result here, both of which play a really important part in your audience's journey so they can get the health information from a trusted source, such as Breast Cancer Now, but then they can go on to the discussions and forums and have those experiences or have those symptoms or the side effects almost validated by the lived experiences of somebody else that has experienced that in the community. We'd also recommend improving the internal linking between the forum and the main website. So that can happen in a few different ways. So if you're linking from the website to the forum, you could be looking at how you could be providing links to specific categories. So if we're in the symptoms area of the health information, linking to the symptoms category in the forum, same as treatments, that kind of thing. But then also on the forum side as well, making sure or encouraging your moderators to be linking to main website health information here. The reason that we say this is because we have seen for our clients that community members do want to give other members of the forum health information, or they want to help give advice, and they'll often link out to other sources as well. So what we want to do is make sure that your website and your health information is being linked to. In turn, we can make sure that in the community that you are being seen as the go-to for the trusted health information in that community. The last tip that I've got here as well is to use top performing forum posts to identify evergreen content gaps. And this doesn't necessarily just have to be top performing posts in organic search. I'd recommend having a look at the posts that have the most likes or the most comments, because you can essentially see this as a window into the topics that your community care the most about. With all of these changes taking place as well, as of 2 weeks ago, Google Search Console announced that the discussion forum rich results is now appearing in the performance report as well. So you can utilize this in GSC pretty much like from today, where you could be going in if your website has a forum and seeing where you are appearing in this rich result. So some takeaways on how we can adapt to the changes in the search landscape. First off, I'd recommend improving visibility where we can drive meaningful traffic. So a practical way of how you could do this from today, I'd recommend going into Google Search Console, seeing your top traffic driving queries, taking a look at which ones have an AI overview present, which ones don't have an AI overview present, and then seeing where you can improve visibility on the latter. We'd also recommend focusing on creating content which AI can't deliver. So like Jess mentioned, we know that with the charities that we work with, that there is a huge breadth of different tools and support services that you could be promoting that AI can't be providing your audience at this time. So like Jess mentioned, your BMI calculators, but also like your risk assessment tools or the tools that you might have on your website to help your audience find a specific type of treatment. These are the things that we can be making more of, because AI can't deliver this for your community. And then thirdly as well, enhancing your SEO with insights from your website forum. So everything that I've just mentioned previously, making sure that you're linking between the two, and then also making sure that you're seeing them as both key parts of your community's journey. I also want to now take a look beyond Google search. Now, typically when we talk about SEO, we see it as pretty much synonymous with Google. But what we're seeing nowadays with the change in searcher behavior is that people are searching way past Google, or they're using different mechanisms for search. So some stats that I've got for you here today: over 80% of people aged between 18 and 49 seek health information via social media. And then 62% of people with chronic conditions bypass their healthcare professional 38% of the time, turning to online influencers instead. Now, obviously, when we're looking at this is a very concerning statistic. But what this does say to us is that there is a real need for authoritative on social platforms. Google definitely recognizes this change in searcher behavior, and we have seen this taking place in Google search. So what I've got here is an example of what we see nowadays in Google search, the short videos tab that appears for most of the health queries. And what this is that it's currently pulling in short form videos from the likes of Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, these types of platforms, all with the aim of trying to give Google's searcher the short form videos that they are already seeking on these different platforms. I'd be interested to know in the chat as well if this is something that you've been seeing for your own queries for your website too. I know that this is something that we've been talking about with some of my clients as well. Alongside all of this, we thought it was particularly interesting that Google is currently promoting ads about Google search across different social platforms as well. So these are all screenshots that we have seen over the last couple of weeks. We have one from Google. They are from Google. We have one from Instagram. We have one from TikTok. We have one from Reddit. Or what they're promoting here is their direct to camera functionality for search that they announced back in I/O in March. And they're using messaging like search like never before. We're also seeing ads like this appearing in YouTube as well. We're seeing different types of ads appearing in Reddit. And the interesting thing that we think about this, first off, this messaging of search like never before, promoting its different search functionalities. What this says to us is that Google is trying to reassert itself as its once unquestioned identity as the go-to for search. And they recognize now that people are searching in lots of different ways. Again, over in the last 2 weeks, Google or Instagram recently announced that public photos and videos will start appearing in search engine results. So that was at the beginning of this month. And what this also means is that content from your professional Instagram account will be appearing outside of the platform as well. So you can expect to be seeing that in Google and other search engines. All of this meaning that we should really be considering how SEO feeds into your organic social strategy. And if you're listening to all of this and thinking, well, then maybe we should be pivoting and focusing all of our efforts into paid social instead, I know for especially some of the attendees that in the webinar today that you will have been affected, or you will have been working through the meta restrictions that have been taking place this year. And with all of those different challenges, that is why we see organic social needing to be a steady channel. So I'll do a whistle-stop tour through the different updates that have taken place this year. If you would like to have a bit more of a thorough read through, our paid media team have posted a blog on the website, which they have been updating. The last update was yesterday. We've created it back in January. But back in January, Meta began enforcing stricter data sharing rules for websites in categories like health and hardship. But what this meant for a lot of our clients is that they were affected and they lost access to a lot of key tools for tracking and optimization. Around March time, we learned that these restrictions varied by region. We saw that EU-based advertisers faced full tracking blocks, while some non-EU campaigns continued. We did find a bit of a workaround, but success wasn't always guaranteed. And then as recently as of this week, or the last in this month, we found that Meta will stop ads that are being flagged as political, social, and electoral in October. So right now, what they've said is that it's happening in the EU, and what we can expect is that the UK will be impacted very soon. All of these reasons, with all of these challenges that of the meta restrictions taking place, again, this is why organic social needs to be a steady channel. But if we take a step back from social search for a time being and we go back to the conversation of AI, another stat that I have for you today is around a 2024 study that found that people exhibited higher levels of trust in ChatGPT than Google for health information. And what we can see when we have, so what this graph is showing us is the average AI traffic trend for a sample of our health charities. And this is looking at the referral sessions from ChatGPT, Claude, Bing, Google Gemini. And what we can see from over the last 12 months, starting from July up to June this year, is that there has been a real peak in, and it has been growing over time. It did take a peak in May and has been dropping in June. What we can deduce by this so far is that this might be seasonal, but the general trajectory is that it is moving at a very fast rate and increasing. But if what you're thinking to yourself now, and this is definitely a question that we've been having, is that this graph or some of the tracking that is already in place in a lot of tools, or what we can see now, it doesn't show us the traffic that is lost to AI sources, and it doesn't show you where you have been named but you've not been linked to. So say, for example, those times where you might be testing yourself in ChatGPT, searching specific questions where your health charity might be named but you've not been linked. That this graph that I just showed you doesn't tell us that, and it also doesn't tell us where you don't get the traffic and it just stops within the LLM platform. So that is the big question, and we've been having this conversation a lot with our clients. I'm sure that you've been having these conversations internally, and the interesting thing is that because this is such a new space, what we are seeing as an SEO team is that we are either having promoted to us, or we're seeing on LinkedIn lots of different types of SEO tools that are promising different types of AI tracking that promise to show you where you've been named or where you've been referred but you've not been linked to, or the traffic that you're losing. We definitely recommend taking that with a pinch of salt. What we are seeing sometimes is that these tools are effectively the same tools that we know and love, like a keyword tracking tool, but essentially repackaged. So we just recommend taking that with a pinch of salt. What you can do, however, is monitor the pages where you are gaining traffic from AI sources. So this is a snippet of a Looker Studio that we have set up for Breast Cancer Now. What we look at on a monthly basis for them is first the number of sessions that they have had from AI traffic sources, but also the specific pages that they are going to. We can see with this as well, we report on a monthly basis, and we can see the trends of what type of content is the most helpful in AI traffic, in LLMs. So I won't go into too much detail here, but I think the main standout is that we often see a lot of the breast cancer facts and statistics pages being pulled through. If you look at some of the common themes of the pages being mentioned here, we often sometimes see that there is a real research slant to it. So to summarize this section, some things to consider is that social search is becoming more prominent. So I would be recommending how you can see SEO feeding into your social search strategy. I know for the Breast Cancer Now team that we have on today, that and something that you could be doing with your charities is having somebody from the web team or in the SEO working group joining your digital content and community planning sessions, seeing what social content you have coming up for the next 2 weeks or the next month, and seeing how SEO can feed into that, whether that be looking into the types of words that people are using for the content that you're going to be publishing. But then also, I say optimizing, but it feels quite old school to say in this new era, but looking at the descriptions that your social team are going to be publishing and seeing how that can be ever so slightly tweaked to include the words that people are using. Know that we can measure LLM referrals, but we can't know how often that we appear as a source. Like we said, the rate at which things are changing is going so quickly. Like Jess mentioned, AI mode was just launched in the UK yesterday. There isn't, as we know of yet, a set guaranteed way of being able to track how you appear in AI mode. This is definitely something that we're looking at, and we're not saying that we have all of the answers to it. So that's why we would recommend taking those tools with a pinch of salt or having a thorough investigation before you invest in them. But then also thinking to yourself, as an organization, do you want to appear in the LLMs? So that is that's not a rhetorical question. It's definitely an organizational conversation that needs to be had. And the reason we say this is because we know that some of the organizations that we work with, they are having those discussions where they are not sure if that's something that they want to do. And when you take into consideration some of the really big industry changes that have happened over the last month, say, for example, Cloudflare's default stance now for their new customers is that they will be blocking AI crawlers. That felt like a really seismic shift in the industry of a big giant taking a very strong stance. So before you consider what you can do to be, improving your visibility in an LLM, considering what the organization stance is first. I'd be really interested to know as well in the chat, like what the general feel is when you are having these conversations internally. And if you've been thinking now whilst I've been talking, so I've spoken about forums, I've spoken about social search, all alongside SEO, how do we do this in practice? What this means is that there's going to be a real sense of having to bring teams together. So in the past, or, when we used to think about SEO, or when we'd be thinking to ourselves, what new page or what page improvements do we need to be making to the website for a specific topic? But instead of that now, we need to be shifting how we think and thinking, how do we make sure that we are visible across all of the ways that our audience might search? So we're not just thinking about Google and search engines anymore. We're thinking about all of the different ways that somebody might be searching for health information. So where I say one topic, multiple teams, and what I mean by that is, and some of the clients that I have that are attending today, when we have spoken about, content recommendations for a specific page or a new page brief to fill a topic gap on the main website, what we're thinking now is, yes, we should be doing that, but also do we have the content on social about this as well? Will we be promoting this on social? Is this something that people are talking about on our social platforms? If forum results are appearing in search engines for that specific topic, do we need to also be making sure that our moderators are linking to any new content that we are proposing? So I hope you can see here when we're talking about, rather than just thinking about one specific page on the website and having it appear in Google, we're thinking about all of the different ways that you can be visible for that specific topic itself. So some tips for some cross-team collaboration, I mentioned this before, but web teams should consider how SEO can feed into organic social content. Some of the ways that we do this is by joining a social planning meeting, like I said, seeing how we can feed in, you know, talking about what type of content you have coming up in the near future, and seeing how seeing what the search demand is for this, making sure that if we are promoting this on our social platforms and we're encouraging people to go to the link in the bio, do we have the correct page being linked to, so that journey isn't being halted? Information sharing across website team and helpline support, such as nurses. So say, for example, if your nurses are being able to feed back to the website team that there has been some common themes of what people have been asking, or that there has been a specific increase in the types of questions that people have been asking, that could be a real clear indicator that there is a topic gap on the website that might need to be filled, and that you could be branching this out into social search, into your social platforms and in forums as well. And then your forum moderators can help identify topic gaps on the main website. So like I said before, if you have a top performing post or top performing posts on the website, on the forum, and we don't have any content on the main website that speaks on this, that would be a topic gap that we would look at filling.
So what happens now, and how can you navigate these changes and adapt your search strategies? So it's so important to remember that we're all facing this together. So almost all of our clients have been impacted in some way by AI-powered search, and the changes in the way that people are searching. It's not industry specific, although our health charities have been impacted considerably. So SEO is not just about Google anymore. As Liv's mentioned, there's some quite surprising statistics around social search and LLMs, where Google once had the monopoly over search behaviour. People are looking to kind of other mediums to find their information. So it's so important to kind of bring teams together across web, social, community, and working together to create a unified strategy will be key in responding to the changes and the challenges. We would encourage you to have internal discussions about your stance on AI, and whether you want your content to be scraped and used by AI bots. There's no right or wrong answer here, and we can support you with this if needed. So what can you do now? So have conversations about AI, develop a shared sense of your stance towards it. You might need to re-establish what good looks like. So we're seeing kind of impressions going up and clicks are going down. And therefore you might need to establish a new measurement framework to track success in organic search. Bring teams together as your search strategy is more than just web content. So we'd recommend establishing a working group and meeting regularly to discuss how everyone could work together to maximize engagement. And consider how a reduction in traffic might be affecting the engagement to your site. So that might be donations, helpline calls, people signing up to fundraise for you. So if you're seeing decreased engagement, it could be due to a reduction in your traffic. And understanding this will help you to understand where effort needs to be given and what the next steps are. And finally, and related to the previous point, focus on the value that AI can't deliver. So that could be fundraising content, it could be content to support your helpline, or it could be other kind of exploring other opportunities to create content where there is a clear action that an AI overview just can't do for you.
Some helpful resources that we wanted to share as well. So first off, the Patient Information Forum. I know that a lot of the charities that we work with are already members of PIF, and there was a real effort of the joint shared letter that was shared with the government to hold them accountable of the impact or the clinical risk of AI overviews. And I know that a lot of discussions and meetings take place and have been taking place within this forum. So if you're not already a member, I would highly encourage joining. And then also I wanted to give a bit of a shout out to the health charity working group on meta restrictions that's being led by Dan Papworth-Smith at Breast Cancer Now. Over each significant meta restriction update, I know that they have had meetings to discuss the impact, discuss the different ways that health charities have been navigating this. So I wanted to give a shout out to that as well, because we have mentioned that today.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, both Liv and Jess. Sorry about our little technical issues a bit earlier as well, but we got there in the end and it was marvellous. Thank you for all of your questions as well. Are you ready, ladies?
Yes.
Work
Stop
away.
sharing my screen now.
Yeah, okay. So the first one we have from Sean says, with organic traffic dropping and probably never going back to where it was, and it's harder to get organic reach in socials, how do you see smaller websites surviving if things do not change and they don't have the budget to pump it into paid activity?
Specifically in the health space, I would recommend looking at, I don't like using the SEO jargon, but the EEAT signals. And what I essentially mean by that is, for the smaller websites, it's demonstrating the experience, the expertise. I'm just listing off the acronym now. The expertise, the experience, authority, and trustworthiness of your organization. So say, for example, if you do have health information on your website, I'm assuming you do because this is for webinar today, we want to be showing clearly how that information has been produced, because I'm sure, because I know with the work that we do with our clients, a ton of work, I'm sure, goes into producing that information, and I'm sure that gets reviewed by either a clinical team or your health information team, and all of that effort that goes into producing and reviewing that health information, making sure that that is being clearly demonstrated on the website. So whether that be a last updated or when your next review date is going to be, if you do have organizationally, if you're able to, write on the page as well who wrote the content or who reviewed the content. If you could put an author page, that shows the creds of the author or the person who has medically reviewed it. And then also what we see often a lot is content or information on a website on how your health information has been produced as well. And then also, just to go back to patient information forum, the PIF tick also doesn't hurt to have as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Liv. We have a blog as well that I can share in the follow-up email on the EEAT review criteria as well. And we've got a question from Claire. When you set up the referral tracker from AI GPTs, did you just list all the main GPTs, or is there a way of IDing these automatically?
It's a really good question. And luckily, we have our fantastic measurement and impact team who have supported the SEO team in setting up these Looker studios for us. So say, for example, the breast cancer now example I shared earlier, that was set up by our measurement and impact team when we started our measurement framework work with breast cancer now. So what I can do, Lisa, in our follow-up email, we can ask the measurement and impact team to clarify how they would set that up, and then we can share that over.
Brilliant. Jess, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I believe that it should be, some of it should automatically be set up in GA4. So for the source medium, so we'll probably be able to point people in the direction of where to find that report within the GA4, their own GA4.
Brilliant. Thank you both. Melanie, so Liv, you mentioned in the AI tracker tools, did you say that they aren't always accurate? Melanie has trialed a couple that give the data and wondering how worthwhile it would be to use a tool.
Yeah, it's a really good question, Melanie, because obviously as an SEO team, we are wanting to look at trustworthy tools to be able to report on for our clients as well. And we are seeing relatively mixed results. You know, I don't want to say anything too negative, but I would recommend at this point, trial them and then see if we do your own manual searches in incognito as well, or do the manual searches to see how your organization is appearing and then see if they match up. The reason I say that as well is because we are doing our own testing here at Torchbox, and for my clients that are on the webinar today, I will have mentioned this to you before. And what we do to validate the test, or the test that we are doing, is try and mimic it in real life and see if it matches up with whatever we've been testing matches. So that's a really long way of me saying, by all means, please do the trials, look into them, we are doing the same. We are testing as many tools as we can to try and find the most reliable, but also the most accurate one, so we can report on with our clients. But what we have noticed as well as an SEO team is that with this boom in AI, lots of tools are wanting to monopolize on that, and they want to, repackage their tools in a different way. So just take that with a pinch of salt.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. We had a question from Ord. Do you know if information and support content is mentioned on AI in the UK?
Information support content. What do we?
Information and support content is mentioned on AI in the UK, in the AI results in the UK?
I might just we might need a bit more information on that question.
Give us a bit more information on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's the question? I'll just see if
It was in the chat. It was a while ago. It wasn't in the Q&A. I copied it out, but didn't ask any more information.
No worries, we can come back to that.
Oh, here we go. She's going to email us.
Okay.
Okay, so Martin asks, do you anticipate AI mode becoming the default mode for users on Google anytime soon?
That is a great question. I think what they have said is that it's going to be kind of in a separate tab, and they've said that it will as they sort of test the features of AI mode, they will at some point roll them out into the sort of main search experience, which suggests that it is coming. In terms of a timeline, they never give one. I mean, AI mode rolled out in the UK yesterday, and there was no pre-warning really. So I think we are kind of very much. I think we should certainly expect it. Would you agree with that, Liv? But it's just no kind of when
what
it
we
will
are
happen.
seeing it's a separate tab right now in the last 24 hours since it's been rolled out, but it's the first tab that people will see if they are in the Google app specifically. Yeah, so we can I would anticipate we could expect it rolling out into the main search. Really interestingly though, I know that when AI overviews first rolled out in the US, there was an increase in, like, one of the first trending, or at that time Google Trends noted that the search around AI, like how to turn off AI overviews, did increase at that time. So I'm really interested to see what happens with this change, in particular with just how the general public uptake it or not.
Thank you. Well, I've got time for a couple more. Claire has said we've been thinking about our tools, e.g. ovulation and due date calculators. And while AIOs can't deliver, we have been concerned that GPTs can. So for example, if I ask ChatGPT when I will ovulate, it can tell me immediately or ask me a few more questions and then answer. So should they be worried about this?
It is a definite risk, and that is it's very concerning, that what you've that question there. I think the risk is that there is a huge risk there, and I think it goes back to, when we've been having the conversations with our clients or some of our clients that say, we don't know whether we should just be blocking AI traffic or AI crawlers from seeing our content or not. We don't want to answer that question for our clients, because that is intrinsically an organizational stance that has to be developed. But what we will advise often is, okay, if these LLMs are going to get the information one way or another, so if they're not getting it from you, who is a trusted expert voice and has spent a lot of time and resource into creating trustworthy tools, the risk of you blocking the content is that they might get that information from somewhere else, and what that clinical risk could be. I think that I'm not sure if that's completely answered the question, but that is the type of advice or how we are feeding into those wider conversations with our clients. Would you say that's fair, Jess?
Yeah, I agree. I think if they're going to, ultimately the aim is to give people accurate health information. So if they're going to get it from anywhere, they should try and get it from you, because the content that you're giving is medically reviewed and expertly written. It is very concerning, because there is such a kind of clinical risk there. But yeah, I think in that instance, you almost want that information to come from you if it's possible. And by allowing the AI crawlers to crawl your site, it will increase the chance that you will be the source of that information, or at least feed into that source of information.
Brilliant, cool. I think it was raising a concern as much as anything, wasn't it? Anyway.
Yeah.
Nice. Melanie said, which platform does the Health Channel working group live on that you mentioned at the end of the presentation?
I am not sure. So I would definitely look out to, I'd see Dan Papworth-Smith on LinkedIn and drop him a message, because it's exclusively for health charities. So agencies and consultants can't join it. So if you just reach out to Dan, then he should be able to add you.
Or I can chat to Dan and see if we can share a link for people that have come to this webinar as well. Okay, brilliant. I think that's the main ones that we can answer live today, but we have all of the questions. So if we've missed any, then we will be coming back to you with answers to all of those. I would just like to say thank you very much to Liv and Jess. It was a lot of content to get through, and I hope that everyone's found it really useful. So I will be sending a follow-up email, which will have the recording, it will have the slides, have any of these resources that we've referenced as well. And then just come back to me if there's anything else that you want to discuss further or have any other questions as well. So thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.